Welcome, everybody, to Let's Talk, the Todd Worsham Show. Thank you for joining me, everybody. And, man, as much as I said I was going to stay out of politics, I mean, with everything going on right now, but I don't want to talk in a political way. I just want to talk in a common sense way. But we all know what's going on right now, right? It's, what is it? Today is July 24th, 2019. 2024. That's how old I am. I still say 19. Just joking. At any rate, today's episode is Our Democracy. Even though we are a constitutional republic, I get that, but we hold elections democratically. So I know it gets confusing, right? So it makes me go back to 2020? Well, actually 2016, actually. So the 2016 election, you remember how there was like 16 people on the Republican side, and then there was on the Democrat side, I believe there was Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, I think Elizabeth Warren, and that pothead chick, I don't know what I can't remember, Susan, I think her name was Susan something or something, I don't remember, but I just remember she's a pothead. Gee, that's what won't run in my country. Anyway, so they held conventions or debates, and they narrowed it down. And I actually can't remember who the runner-up was for Trump. Shit. That's a brain fart and a half. But anyway, so the Democrats, I believe it was Hillary and Bernie. So they went and did the primaries and all that stuff. And you can look this up because I still remember this because it also happened in 2020. But the votes never came in. And 2020 was worse because of COVID. So no one really ever won the primaries on the Democrat side for 2 election cycles. And when you turn on the news, all everybody's talking about is our democracy and how Trump is going to destroy our democracy. Well, if you step back and you look at things, just forget Democrat, forget Republican, forget Trump, forget whomever, and just look at the processes and see how they're adhered to or not adhered to. So we'll take, for example, the GOP. I would say the GOP pretty much adhered to it. They had all these people. They had all these debates. They narrowed it down. Trump won, and he got all the delegates, and he moved on. Well, on the Democrat side, it wasn't like that because in my opinion, and I can't say this factually, but in my opinion, Bernie Sanders outdid Hillary probably twofold. Bernie Sanders doesn't fit the Democrats, they're the radical left. Bernie Sanders doesn't fit their agenda. So they basically just cock-blocked him right out of the election. And I just couldn't believe it because all my Democrat friends, all my liberal friends, I'm like, texting them and calling them, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Don't you have a problem with this? Well, it was going to be Hillary anyways, or it was going to be Biden. I mean, they're making this excuse, and it's like, oh, no. I said, wait a minute, you're sitting here telling me that Donald Trump is going to destroy democracy when your side of the house is evading democracy and sidestepping it and breaking the rules, their own rules that they wrote, that they voted in, breaking everything and putting in the person that they're choosing and not the person that the people are choosing. So you should have a problem with that. I mean, if the conservative side did that, oh yeah, I would have a big, huge problem with that. But fortunately, and I'm not saying one's better than the other, but it just seems like the conservative side they usually follow the rules a little bit better, but they're extremely complacent. That's the problem I have with conservatives. um, our representatives, not conservative people, but our representatives. They seem to be lazy, and they don't seem to go and vote for what we ask for. And that's what really pisses me off, because and that's really not on them, on the representative. It's really on us, because and I think I say this on probably a lot of my shows. If we don't go out and do our research, and if we don't go out and figure out who's best for our society, for our community, because that's where you should start at. You should start right in your community, in your city, in your county, and then your state, and then go federal. But you should be researching these people who are campaigning and looking at their lifestyle, looking at, are they really here to represent me? Or are they running for Congress or Senate because they want to get fat and they want to get rich? So to me, that's one of the first questions, when I research these people, that's the first thing I look at. Like judges, I look to see if they imprison people properly. Are they under sentencing? Are they over sentencing? And it takes a long time to do all this stuff. It's crazy. It's really time consuming. It's almost something that you got to do just constantly, just because it is. I when it comes like to the judges and the DAs, I usually I don't make it. I don't. The DA maybe, but the judges no, because the judges, there's so many of them. But anyway, so my point being is, with the situation going on right now, because nobody knows. Well, I haven't watched any news today, so I could be totally off base today, because everything's been changing daily right now. And I believe Biden's supposed to come out and either give a speech today or tomorrow. I'm not really sure. I know he didn't meet Newton Nathan, or what? The guy from Israel. I could never say his name. At any rate, so he didn't even meet with him. He met with Trump. So that's kind of funny. And it just makes you sit back and say, well, who's running our country? Kamala's off on the sideline just laughing, smoking her dope. And our president is AWOL. Doesn't even really say anything about when Trump gets shot. I mean, he just puts out some AI statement, So whatever. But I mean, look at they're all bitching about democracy and how Trump's going to tear down democracy, but go over there and look and see how their democracy's working. They're not even doing what their people want. They're doing what they want. So it just doesn't, it should bother you. It really should. And if it doesn't, I don't know what to say, but it should really bother. I mean, you shouldn't lose your mind or stress out or get all crazy over it. But at least open your mind up and think maybe, excuse me, and think, maybe I should, look some of these people up and see which way they're taking my community. I mean, if you believe in LGBTQ plus, and if you believe in transgender children, and if you believe that kids should be hanging out with transvestites and all this kind of stuff, and you think they should be reading porn in elementary school, and if you think all those things are acceptable, then vote for that. That's what the system's for. I really don't care. I'm going to back you up no matter what you believe in, because I'm going to respect you for your beliefs. But on the flip side of that, I expect you to respect my beliefs. Just because we don't agree upon something, okay. Nothing's just fine. It's not just one thing. There's black, there's white, there's up, there's down, there's this way, there's that way. There's an opposite for everything. So, I don't know. So, last I heard, and I didn't see anything on my, at least on my Apple feed or something. It usually says something, but it's talking about Netanyahu. And okay, Biden speaks on his decision to exit the 2024 race. Crap. See, I'm behind on the news. I'm already behind the news cycle already. Um, so he's just exiting the race. So I don't see anywhere in here where he's actually exiting the presidency, because I don't know, but I don't think this juju junk is all over with. Um, okay, so right here he says, over the next 6 months, I will be focused on doing my job as president, Biden said. That means I will continue to lower costs for hardworking families and grow our economy. I will keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. Biden continued to emphasize what he believes is at stake this election, which he has repeatedly said is the battle to preserve the nation's founding principles. Okay, I probably am gonna, I'm gonna step out of a freaking cliff on this one, and probably say the forefathers never expected transvestites, or whatever you call them, I don't know, cross dressers, I don't know, whatever you call those people, to go into elementary schools and put little kids on their laps. I don't think that would go. And then the other thing too is, right now in this time, the government is running the country. The country isn't running the government, and that's backwards. You need to read your Constitution. Read the Articles of the Confederacy, of the Confederate Bill of Rights. I mean, read all that. The Articles of the Confederate. I mean, people need to read. Nobody ever talks about that, but those are actually some basic laws that govern our country from before the Civil War. So look them up. It's not that hard, and you can learn some new things on top of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. But anyway, my point being is, democracy isn't really being. It's not really being in use anymore. I mean, as a whole, through the whole country, it seems like these people, they get elected in offices, and then they conspire with the corporations, and then they just launder money around from company to company, and these representatives get pieces of all these little pies that were all this money. So the government prints this money, they put it into this system, and it just moves around and around and around, and everybody just keeps biting off of it until it's all gone. And then they just print some more, and then they turn around and say, well, we don't have enough money. We're $34 trillion in debt, so we're going to have to tax you more because we don't know how to handle your money. Okay? So let's think about this. So I got a credit card, $10,000 limit. I go out and I spend $10,000. I make a couple payments, bring it down to, I don't know, 5. Then they give me a $15,000 limit. Okay, so I max that out. Then I pay it down a couple, and I get more. And I just keep going and going and going and going. How long do you think that credit card company is going to keep extending your credit line? Because you only have so much income, right? So if you only have, enough income for this, and you're spending this, and then you're putting it on the backs of the people, and the people didn't approve that. I don't remember voting for Obamacare. I don't remember voting to go to war with Iraq. I don't remember voting for a lot of things. And I don't understand how this works, because how does our representative know what we want? That's the piece of our government that I think is kind of broken, is the actual between the people and the representatives. And I think that's probably one of the biggest disconnects in our democracy, in our constitutional republic, is between me and you, us normal, regular people, and our representatives, because they're up there and they're owning their own little elite world, doing what they do and all that kind of stuff, spending all the money and traveling around the world and making new bills and coming up with new ways to spend your money without your approval. Did you know Congress can vote to give themselves raises? Wouldn't that be awesome if you could go to work, get everybody together and say, hey, you know what? We're going to go in the boss's office and we're going to tell him or we're all getting a raise or we're walking out. Boss would look at you and say, bye. But that's just stupid. Nobody should be able to give those people raises but us, the people. We pay them. They work for us. So if they want a raise, it should go on the ballots. And if your representative isn't performing for you, for your community, then you should deny those raises. But for a group of people to sit in a room with a gavel and vote on getting a raise is just asinine. That's just so stupid. But that's our democracy. Where is it? I don't know. It's being abused right now. And like this whole Biden thing, I mean, okay, so today he made a statement where, he's going to keep going. I guess I could have finished reading this, but I'm sure you've all seen it on TV, so I probably don't need to read it. Yeah, he talks about how he's going to finish the job. Yeah, I think the job is going to finish him. But the great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, really. So if Hillary never won the primary elections and Biden never won the primary elections, how did anybody get into power? Sounds kind of like a kingship to me or a dictatorship to me because they weren't voted in. The votes in Iowa were never counted. They were never counted. Never. They're still to this day they've never released any numbers. You can't make this shit up. It's crazy. Because I was following the primaries and I'm like, well, wait a minute, where's the numbers? What did Biden get? Where's his numbers? No. Bernie Sanders was doing better than he was. I mean, if anybody ought to be pissed off out of all this, it should be Bernie Sanders because they cock block him twice, and he's too old now. I mean, he's done now. He's probably gonna be like Dianne Feinstein and just croak. But Bernie Sanders just got fucked, and then just laid there and laid on his stomach and took it. I mean, I couldn't get it. I mean, even though I don't agree with Bernie Sanders, I like him because in my mind, he believes in what he believes in and he stands up for what he believes in. And I respect that out of him. Now, I don't agree with probably 90% of his, probably 99% of his policies, but that's not my point. My point is I respect him because he is very, he's very secure in his thoughts and he's very secure, of what direction he wants. But unfortunately, it's not capitalism and it's not the direction of America. I personally think he would have been better off moving to a third world country and running one of those over there, and probably then he could make some money. But I don't know. So I don't know what's going to happen to Biden. I mean, I personally thought that he was going to say he was going to finish, and then I saw the Democrats coming out and enforcing the 25th Amendment and then putting Kamala in office. So that way Hillary can come out and campaign, and that would shut off Kamala, because Hillary is probably about the only chance they have. And the problem with that is Trump did too good of a job last time. I mean, I was flourishing. I had money in the bank. My life was great. I was traveling, seeing things, doing things, and Bidenomics has literally taken almost a third of my annual income, almost a third of it, with new taxes. When you count the inflation, I sat down and did the math. It was close to it was a lot of money, and I have the same lifestyle, the same bills, same everything, and I can't save anything anymore. And before I was saving so easily. I mean, I could save and do things, and now I don't get to do things and I can't save. So, welcome to Bidenomics. Welcome to my democracy. And, it is what it is, but look at things in a common sense view, people. I mean, what you're seeing going on right now in the DNC, I mean, does it even look right? I mean, and then not only that, but all these Trump trials and all these accusations and all these laws that they pulled out of their, that were no good, that everybody knew were fluvorous. I mean, everybody knew they were gonna go away, especially on their first appeal. I mean, everybody knew that. So it was wasting your money, your taxpayer money paid for that. For all, 3 or 4 of those, I don't know, I have 4 hearings. I don't remember what it was, but so we all paid for that. And if this place was really a democracy, like the left keeps saying, then should we vote on all this stuff? I mean, shouldn't everything be voted on? I don't know. Just saying. Because if you want to say we're a democracy, then you need to look up the word and understand it, and then start following that, because the left wing keeps saying the right wing is going to destroy democracy, when the left wing in themselves aren't even following their own democracy. Because if you cut them out, and look at them all by themselves, you would see more of a dictatorship, I think, because first of all, they're taking out freedom of speech. They're putting black against white, so they're dividing us. They're trying to turn kids into transgender people, which I for the life of me, I don't understand this experiment. I don't understand why you would ever change a child's sex. It's so far beyond my comprehension. I don't get it. And why are we not doing anything about this? Why are we not voting on this? Why is there not laws coming out? I mean, it just freaks me out, because the things that our government focuses on doesn't really help us. It doesn't do anything for us. So how does that work? I don't understand. So how do we get back to where we're actually making the decisions, and representatives are going and making decisions based upon what decision we told them to do? Think about that. Just think about if your state representative went to DC and voted the way that the majority of your state agrees to. What do you think that would really do to the country? It would completely change it. Because I believe by nature that probably 75% of the country or more is conservative in a way, not to like label people, but when I say like conservative, I mean like they believe in religion or God or spiritual. They know right from wrong. They believe raping and murdering is wrong. They believe transvestites in elementary schools probably not a good idea. Indoctrinating children is absolutely unacceptable. Children should be doing one thing and one thing only at school, and that is learning. Learn, learn, learn. We need to start producing top scientists, PhDs in our country again. Instead of bringing them in from India, China, or wherever, we need those people here. We need homegrown people. And it's not happening. I mean, they've lowered the bar so low that there's no reason to excel anymore. There's no, if everybody gets a trophy, then what's the sense of playing? What's the sense of winning or losing? What's the sense of, struggling? What's the sense of fighting? And you take all that away when you do that. And I think most people would agree with that. I mean, and discipline, right? I mean, there's some basic things, and it's not happening. It's not happening in our government. I mean, instead of government coming to us and telling us, well, we're gonna, what Joe Biden say, he's gonna raise our taxes. I mean, I'm not making this shit up. I mean, he's come on national TV, I don't know how many times, and has said that he is going to raise taxes. Yes, that's Google it, YouTube it. He said that. I seen it. I watched it. So why are we the people not saying, no, fuck that? Why don't you quit spending money? I mean, I personally think social media should publish everything that the government spends. You should be able to go on X, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. You should be able to go to all those places and see some type of database where all of your money's going and what they're spending it on. And again, they're always screaming democracy. If it's a democracy, then we should vote on it. Do I really think I want to spend $5 million to see if a bee gets drunk, which way it falls? I'm not making this stuff up. Go on to whitehouse.gov and you can look at some of the stuff that they're spending on. And it will blow your mind. I remember reading an article in one of my Bass magazines. This was a long time ago, probably like 30 years ago. And one of the not editors, one of the writers actually got grants for over 20 years to go to this lake, live there, and follow these trout for 20 years. He got paid. He got paid like $75,000 a year to go live in some beautiful part of the country with some lake, chasing these little trout around. Oh my God. Couldn't believe it. It's like, that would be a good job for internships, for people getting their PhDs or doing whatever. That could be a good job for summer school kids or maybe even elderly people. But I mean, so, you go through, you go into whitehouse.gov and you look around and you look in there and you see some of the things that are spending money on, and you sit there and you think, well, fuck, why? I mean, we're Americans. A lot of us will do this for free, or we'll pick it up. I mean, Americans have the biggest heart, and we're the most giving people on the planet. We are. That's not even negotiable. I mean, we are. Americans, we love to take care of people. We have sympathy and empathy. We do. And unfortunately, some peoples use that against us. So, at any rate, so our democracy. Think about it, look at it. And when I say look at it, I mean don't look at it left or right, because that's what I do. I always take the names and the red and the blue, the D and the R, and I take all that out of the picture, out of my head, and I just look at what's going on through a common sense view, and just start doing that, and watch what's going on, and go vote, and make a sound decision. Because whether you like Trump or not, I'm not a big fan either. But all I know is when he was in office, my life was really good, extremely good. And I would like to have that back, especially at my age. So y'all know who I'm voting for. Because first of all, I don't even know who the other side's even got. So I don't think it's going to be Kamala, but we'll see. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think Hillary's. I think they're going to push Hillary in, and I don't think she'll last either. I wouldn't be surprised if she's got dementia too, because she says some really stupid stuff. So I don't know. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me, and that's today's episode. See you next Thursday. All right. Bye.